Good morning, children. Let's discuss the chapter Landscape of the Soul today, written by Nathalie Trouveroy.
Child, if you've ever been asked to draw a landscape, what would you draw? Yes, if you had ever been asked to draw a landscape, what had you drawn? What is a landscape? Yes, Akarshita? What's a landscape, bache?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, basically, a landscape is a painting of the nature wherein you
Yes.
highlight the facts and the aesthetic of nature.
Yes, the aesthetic of it. And if you're asked to draw a landscape as a child would draw a mountain, you would draw a river, and then valleys and all. So this all is a landscape. So he was his last painting. We are talking about the Chinese painter Wu Daozi, and his last painting was a landscape commissioned by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong. So this particular emperor had asked him to make a landscape. A commission means what is commission? Ordered. So he was ordered by the emperor to make a landscape for him and to decorate. And why had he ordered him? He wanted to decorate one of his palace walls. Okay. And the master had hidden, which master are we talking about here? It says the master had hidden his work behind the screen. Which
Ma'am, the king?
master? The painter. Okay, the painter had hidden his work uh, after he had made that landscape. He had hidden it behind the screen, so only the emperor would see it, and he wanted nobody else but the emperor to see it. For a long while, the emperor admired, when he saw the landscape, he admired the wonderful scene, discovering forests. There were forests in that landscape, there were high mountains, there were waterfalls, clouds floating in an immense sky. Immense means what is immense? Immense is
Huge.
huge, floating in an immense sky, men on hilly paths, etc., then birds in flight. So this was all included in that landscape. And the painter said thereafter, when the emperor was admiring the landscape, the painter said, "Look, sire, in this cave, at the foot of the mountain, dwells a spirit." So at the foot of the mountain, he had made a cave. And he said, he told the emperor that in this cave, who is living, who is dwelling, dwelling means lives. And who is living in this cave? A spirit. A spirit is living. Now you cannot see a spirit. ठीक है, आप आत्मा नहीं देख सकते हो. He says a spirit is living here. The painter clapped his hands and the entrance to the cave opened. Now this you would find something very unrealistic. So in a painting, if you see a cave and if somebody would just clap his or her hands, the cave is not going to open. But the moment he clapped his hands, what happened? The entrance to the cave opened. The inside is splendid. And then thereafter he told the emperor that the inside of the cave is splendid. What is splendid? It is splendid. Inside of the cave is splendid. It is very impressive. It is magnificent and superb. This is what the painter said. Beyond anything words can convey. He said, I cannot express it in words. The inside of the cave is too impressive, too superb to be expressed in words. Please let me show your majesty the way. He says, I'll show you the way through the cave. This is what he meant. The painter entered the cave. Now, this was a painting. You know, as a reader, you would find it very, beyond imagination, beyond comprehension, and very unrealistic also. So he entered the cave of that. Somebody said, "Can you please explain?" So it's just we're just talking about one Chinese painter. The name of the painter was Wu Daozi, and he was asked by an emperor to make a landscape for him. The painter made that landscape, and he wanted it to be shown only to the king. And when he showed it to the king, the king was admiring it, and then he talked about a particular cave at the foot of the mountains, which the painter said inside that cave there was a spirit that was living inside the cave. And the moment he said that, he clapped his hands and the cave opened. The entrance of the cave opened, and then he said that I'll show you the way. Okay, and the painter entered the cave, but the entrance, the moment he entered the cave, the entrance closed behind him. And before the surprised emperor, before the astonished emperor could move, the emperor could not follow him. Before he could move or before he could utter a word, the painting had already gone from the wall. Not a trace of Wu Daozi's brush was left. So Wu Daozi, along with his brush and everything, his pen and everything had vanished. And the artist was never seen again in this world. And after that, that artist, Wu Daozi, was never seen. So such stories, such fables, this is one of the Chinese fables, such stories played an important part in China's classical education. So in the classical education of China, such kind of stories, such kind of fables, it's an important part in China's classical education. It's a part of classical education. The books of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. So who are Confucius and Zhuangzi? They are famous Chinese philosophers. And the books they've written and they're full of such Chinese stories or fables. They help the master to guide his disciple in the right direction. What is disciple? Disciple is a learner or a
Follower.
follower. Okay, or a student, yes. So beyond this anecdote, so I told you this expression, you would come across various expressions and you have to infer the meanings from the context. Now tell me the meaning of anecdote. What is anecdote? Anecdote का क्या मतलब होता है बच्चे?
Ma'am, it is a
I'm a
short
short
story,
story.
real
Story.
incident.
Yes, it's a short story. It is a short, amusing, or you can say interesting story about a real incident or about a real person. So beyond this anecdote, which anecdote are we talking about here? We're talking about this Wu Daozi, his painting, the landscape, the cave, how he opened that cave, how he got into the cave, and how he vanished from there. So beyond the anecdote, they are deeply revealing of the spirit in which art was considered. So beyond such anecdotes, they also reveal the spirit of the art. Contrast this story or another famous one. Now he's telling about another story or another famous one about a painter who would not, we're talking about Chinese art right now, okay? Then he would compare it with the European art. And he says, beyond this story, or you can just contrast this story, or another famous one about a painter who would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted for fear it would fly out of the painting. Okay, so he says इस story को एक और story से compare करो, contrast करो, and he's telling you another famous story, and that is the story of a painter who would not draw the वो उसने पूरा dragon बना दिया, but he did not draw the eye of the dragon. Why? Because he felt that if he would draw that eye of the dragon, the dragon is going to come out of the painting. Okay, so contrast it with an old story from my native Flanders. So she was a European, as I told you, Nathalie Chauveroy. So she belonged to Europe and she belonged to Flanders basically. And what is Flanders? Flanders is an area in Western Europe. It's a medieval country in Western Europe. And that I find most representative of Western painting. Now she's talking about Western painting and she's giving you an example to show how that Western painting differed from the Chinese one. She says in 15th century, Antwerp. Who was Antwerp? Antwerp was a master blacksmith. Who's a blacksmith? Who's a blacksmith? Blacksmith.
I'm the
को
one
पता
who
होगा
molds silver and gold.
लोहार बेटा लोहे का काम करता है जो गोल्ड का नहीं ठीक है लोहार so he says in 15th century Antwerp a master blacksmith he called a master blacksmith and what was the name of the blacksmith Quinton Matsys and he fell in love with a painter's daughter there was a blacksmith and he fell in love with the daughter of a painter the father means the painter, he would not accept a son-in-law in such a profession. He did not agree to that alliance. He did not agree to that match. And why did he not agree to that match? Because the person was a blacksmith and he himself was a painter. So what did Quinton do then? So Quinton sneaked into the painter's studio. What does sneaking into somebody's studio mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? He sneaked into the painter's studio.
Ma'am, carefully entering in someone's area
Yes,
before they're knowing.
yes. So secretly he entered into the studio of the painter and what did he do there? He painted a fly on his latest panel. There was a panel that was kept there, उस panel से वो काम कर रहा था, उस panel पे उसने क्या बना दी? एक fly, एक मक्खी बना दी. ठीक है? He painted a fly on his latest panel with such delicate realism. What do you understand by delicate realism?
Ma'am, a
What
quality
is
of art which makes it real.
which makes it look like real. So that he made it the fly looked very realistic. Yes. So so it was very close. It was so close to real that the master tried to swat it away. Swat it means hit it. He just tried to strike it away before he realized what had happened. The moment the master painter got inside, he thought that a real fly was sitting on his latest panel, and he tried to hit it. He tried to just crush it with something, and before he realized what actually had happened. Before he realized that that was not an actual fly but a painting. So imagine a painter could not realize it in the first place that it was not it wasn't a painting. It was painting and not a real fly. Quentin was immediately, he was so impressed. The painter was so impressed by Quentin Maxey's art that he immediately admitted him as an apprentice. What is apprentice? What is apprentice? Apprentice is a helper or a student, a learner. He admitted him as an apprentice into his studio. Okay, he married his beloved. So Quentin Metzys was able to marry the love of his life, and he went on to become. Later on, he became one of the most famous painters of his age. These two stories illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve. Both the forms of art, they're trying to achieve something. One is Chinese art form, and the other is what? The European, the Western art form. Okay, so a perfect illusionistic likeness in Europe. What is illusionistic likeness? An illusion which is created and which resembles something real, which we find in European painting. ठीक है, यूरोपियन वेस्टर्न पेंटिंग में हमें क्या मिला? एक ऐसी उसने पेंटिंग बनाई, ऐसे आर्ट वर्क बनाया जो एक्चुअली लग रहा था, जो रियल लग रहा था, बट एंड द सेंस ऑफ इनर लाइफ एंड स्पिरिट इन एशिया. बट जो एशियन पेंटिंग थी, जो चाइनीज पेंटिंग थी, उसमें क्या था? व्हाट वाज द पेंटर ट्राइंग टू डू? द पेंटर वाज ट्राइंग यू टू एंटर हिज माइंड एंड विजुअलाइज द पेंटिंग फ्रॉम दैट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू. कि वो रियल दिख नहीं रही थी, बट वो इट वाज इट वाज अ वर्क ऑफ माइंड. Okay, and as your mind perceives something, and he created something, and he wanted the emperor to perceive it like he had created it. He wanted the emperor to enter his mind. So in the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance. Emperor had ordered a painting, and he had ordered a landscape to be made, and he had just appreciated its outer appearance. उसने अभी तक उसका सिर्फ outer appearance ही appreciate किया था. But the artist, who was the artist there? Wu Daozi. He reveals to him the true meaning of his work. The emperor may rule over his territory that he had conquered, but the artist knows the way within. With his imagination, with his creativity, the emperor could rule the territory, but the artist could enter that territory from anywhere. So this is the importance of art that is being highlighted here. Okay, but only the artist knows the way within, and that is why he says, let me show the way. उसने बोला, ठीक है, किंग को उसने बोला, किंग को उसने क्या बोला था? लेट मी शो यू द वे. द दाओ, a word that means both the path, or this Dao is a Chinese concept. Okay, and you would understand Daoism also. You would read about it later in the later part of this chapter. Okay, so the Dao, a word that means both the path or the method and the mysterious works of the universe. So it is talking about the mysterious way, the mystery in which the working of the universe is based. The painting is gone. Which painting are we talking about here?
Ma'am,
Which
the
is the painting
first
that
one.
the first one, the painting that was created by Wu Daozi. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal. So what was the aim of the artist? Beyond any material appearance. So beyond any tangible thing, beyond any material thing, something material appearance का मतलब क्या होता है? Something which can be seen. But he had achieved something which can only be felt, which cannot be seen, which can be felt only with the mind. Got it? Got it? Say yes or no.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay. So a classical So he's elaborating here now, and he's saying a classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view. So this is the difference between Chinese and European painting. It will not try to reproduce an actual view. वो real view नहीं आपको दिखाना चाहेगा, but a Western figurative painting would do that. Whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes. What is the European painter wanting you to do? He's wanting you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. यूरोपियन पेंटर ने जो पेंटिंग बनाई थी, वो पेंटिंग जब बनाता है तो वो एक व्यूअर से क्या एक्सपेक्ट करता है कि वो पेंटिंग को उसी एंगल से देखे और उसी तरह से देखे जैसे कि उसने देखी थी और उसने जो सोच के बनाई थी. ठीक है, टू बोरो हिज आईज एंड व्यू इट एग्जैक्टली एज ही सॉ इट फ्रॉम अ स्पेसिफिक एंगल. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. The Chinese painter is totally different from this, and painting is totally different. It does not choose a single viewpoint. इसका मतलब क्या है? The European painting है, it is a very fine painting, it is a well defined painting. पर जो Chinese painting है उसमें बहुत सारे क्या होंगे? Blank areas होंगे. Okay, so it says the painter would not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point. उस किसी point से भी आप enter कर सकते हो और किसी तरह से अपनी imagination से आप उसको visualize कर सकते हो. ठीक है, you can enter from any point, and from the areas, the blank areas that are left there, you can visualize them in your own way, you can interpret them in your own way. So it says and you can enter it from any point. किसी भी point से आप उसको travel उसके अंदर enter करोगे, and then you can travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes. Artist सिर्फ path बना रहा है आपके लिए, and to travel up and down, then back again. ठीक है, आप उसमें travel कर सकते हो, फिर वापस आ सकते हो in a very leisurely movement. This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. अब वो बता रहा है कि ये और ज्यादा clearly कहाँ पे visible होता है? एक horizontal scroll में. Horizontal scroll का क्या मतलब है बच्चे? हॉरिजॉन्टल स्क्रोल का क्या मतलब है? एक रोल है, ठीक है, जिसको आप हॉरिजॉन्टली ओपन कर रहे हो. ठीक है, और जैसे जैसे आप ओपन कर रहे हो उसका थोड़ा थोड़ा सेक्शन आपको रिवील हो रहा है, और फिर आप उस सेक्शन को बंद कर रहे हो और अगला डायमेंशन खुल रहा है. ठीक है, तो आप उसको अलग तरह से विजुअलाइज, किसी भी तरह से विजुअलाइज कर सकते हो. एंड इट ऑल्सो रिक्वायर्स द एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ द व्यूअर. ठीक है, जो चाइनीज पेंटिंग है, व्हाट डज इट वांट? इट वांट्स द एक्टिव पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ द व्यूअर. The viewer who decides at what pace he will travel through the painting, a participation which is not only physical as well as mental, as you had seen in the painting by Wu Daozi, how he clapped his hands, how he opened that, the entrance of the cave was opened, how he entered it, and then he vanished from there. The Chinese painter, he does not want you to borrow his eyes. वो ये नहीं कहता कि जिस तरह से मैं पेंटिंग को देख रहा हूँ आप भी उसको वैसे ही देखो, आप उसको अपनी तरह से विजुअलाइज करो. एंड फॉर दैट ही वांट्स यू टू एंटर हिज माइंड. वो चाहता है आप उसके माइंड में एंटर करके उसको विजुअलाइज करो अपनी इमेजिनेशन से, अपनी क्रिएटिविटी यूज करके. This landscape that is created by the Chinese painter is an inner one. It's a very complicated landscape, and it is an inner one. It is a spiritual one. So it can be explored in various ways. This is what the narrator, the author, is trying to say. And conceptual space. Conceptual space means it is in relation to abstract representations. It is not something real, but it is in relation to something which is abstract. This concept, page number 36, this concept is expressed as shan shui. So you can be asked a question on shan shui also, literally meaning mountain water, which used together represent the word landscape. मैंने आपको पहले शुरू में, in the beginning of the chapter, I had explained that if a child is asked to make a landscape, what would the child draw? He would draw mountain, he would draw valley, he would draw rivers and all. So this is the same concept of shanshui, which means mountain water. So more than two elements of an image These represent two complementary poles. Mountain and water, according to the author, they represent two poles, the poles which complement each other, which are incomplete without. So they reflect the Taoist view of the universe. And we talked about mountain Shanshui, we talked about mountain water, and mountain is representing yang, reaching vertically towards heaven, stable, warm, and dry in the sun, while the water is yin. तो अगर आपको Taoist view explain करने को है, Shanshui explain करने को है, mountain water explain करने को है, yang and yin explain करने को है, तो आपने यही explain करना है. Mountain is yang, which is vertically reaching upwards towards heaven. It is stable, it is warm, it is dry in the sun, while the water is yin. And yin is water, and it is horizontal, and it is resting on the earth. Horizontal का मतलब क्या है? It is lying parallel to the surface of the earth. Okay, and it is in liquid form. It is fluid, and it is moist, and it is cool also. And the interaction of yin, the receptive जो yin है वो feminine part है universal energy का, और yang है active and masculine part of the universe. It is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. So if you're asked to explain Shanshui, the concept of Shanshui, the concept of Taoism, the concept of Yang and Yin, तो आपने यहाँ पे ये explain करना है. And something which is very important, the interaction between the two. That is the most important thing. That is, the author says, what is often overlooked is an essential third element, the middle void. Void क्या होता है बच्चे? What is void? Void क्या होता है? What is void? The middle void. What is void? अभी सुना नहीं आपने word void?
Empty.
Yes, the empty space. The middle void where their interaction takes place, that is the most important third element. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayam. आप लोग अगर प्राणायाम करते हो, जो अगर आप योगिक क्रिया करते हो, जिसमें क्या होता है, ठीक है, आप सांस लेते हो, फिर आप सांस रोकते हो, ठीक है, then that suspension of, you breathe in, ठीक है, you breathe in and then you exhale, you breathe out, और बीच में आप सांस रोकते हो, ठीक है, वो जो सांस रोकना है ना, उसको बोलते हैं सस्पेंशन ऑफ ब्रेथ, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, दैट इज द मिडल वॉइड, दैट इज वेयर द इंटरेक्शन टेक्स प्लेस, दैट इज वेयर मेडिटेशन टेक्स प्लेस. Okay, the middle void is essential because nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the white, unpainted space in Chinese landscape. So in the Chinese landscape, there are blank spaces, there are empty spaces in order to enhance creativity. That is the point where maximum creativity or, takes place. And he says, man is like that void. The author is telling you that man is like void. This is also where man finds a fundamental role. Man का fundamental role क्या है? In that space between heaven and the earth. He becomes the conduit of communication between both the poles of universe. What do you mean by conduit of communication? He's like a channel of communication. Conduit means he's like a channel of communication between both the poles of the universe. क्यों? Because man is the only living being. Baki, देखो, universe has been created, nature has been created, and the presence of man is very essential, even if it is only suggested. Far from being lost or oppressed by the lofty peaks, he is the he is in Francois Cheng's wonderful expression, the eye of the landscape. Who is the eye of the landscape? कौन है eye of the landscape? बोलो.
Ma'am, man.
Who is the eye? Man is the eye of the landscape because he is, with his mind, with his eyes, what is he doing? He's perceiving different things of nature. Then after perceiving, he's, creating various things. And the way you see it, the way your mind perceives it, you can create things accordingly. This is what the Chinese concept of Taoism was. Okay, got it? So I'll just try. ठीक है, ये आपका
Yes, ma'am.
माउंटेन है ना, माउंटेन एंड और यहाँ पे ये रिवर, ठीक है. सो दिस इज यांग, दिस इज वर्टिकली अपवर्ड्स, दिस इज नोन एज यांग. ओके, एंड व्हाट इज फ्लोइंग, लाइक अ रिवर, माउंटेन एंड रिवर, दिस इज यिन. ठीक है, ये यांग और यिन का जो कंसेप्ट है. एंड हियर वी हैव द ह्यूमन बीइंग is the eye of that landscape. In the words of Francois Chen. Okay, he is the eye or the mind of the landscape. Okay, so समझ आया कि नहीं
Yes,
आया?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
सबको समझ में आ गया? So there's another part of this, chapter, and that is getting inside out. What I want you to do is you can just go through this part and लेना आपने. If you want me to repeat anything, told you there's no point of joining the class half an hour after the class had on. This is landscape of the soul, and we have done one part of it. We're left with one more part that we would discuss on Monday along with the question answers. So while I take your attendance, you can just go through the part that we've done today. And if there's anything that you've not followed, ठीक है, इतना ज़्यादा मुश्किल भी नहीं है. If you read it, if you would read it today only, whenever you get time, you would understand it. If you followed anything, you can ask me right now. अभी मुझसे पूछ लेना. Let me take the attendance. Medha.